We're going to need to draw a design section to kind of understand how our elevations within our structure are all going to play out. So I'm going to use this, my example here. I don't actually have to redraw anything. I can use my boxed in elevations as part of my beginning steps of my drawing. So this is on my exterior elevations. I can even click and drag and duplicate. Command D. I'm going to create a new layer, new sheet. Oh, no, new design layer. And I'm going to call this section. So now if I go to my section, I can see that I have these shapes. Like if I turn my elevations off, this is still here. So I don't need all these guidelines. Oops. Oh. So, I mean, this is the one I just showed you with the elevations, so there isn't, I haven't flushed it out or finished it out. I'm not going to have the siding. The windows I'm not going to see either. Okay, so this works really well for this design because I have a few different levels going on. So I'm going to just I like to just use my wall tool in my sections because then I can insert things into them if I want to. I've already, in this case, created a wall style that's black anyways. And with our sections, we are cutting through those walls. So I'm going to use, pick a styled wall, go into my open files. So for instance, I'm drawing my walls for where they're going to be. So on my plan view, I snap down those lines to draw these elevations. Now basically I'm imagining that my section line is going to go through and I'm going to cut through those walls. So I'm just going to redraw them. Now the thing is, I'm using this elevation and I drew these lines down for what I'm going to see looking at the exterior of this structure. Now I'm going to have to draw a section line. So a section line we're going to cut through, and there is already a symbol for that. So here is our section elevation marker. We're going to show it in plan. So we want to show on our plan where we're cutting through, because so then when you look at your section, you can see, oh, this line, it cuts through here, it cuts through here, and this is what's going on inside. So I'm gonna just kind of cut through here. I might adjust it a bit. I'm gonna draw that line and I'm going to double click. I'm just gonna hit OK for now. So this section is looking in this direction, right? So I could have this section line and look in the opposite direction. I want to look in this direction. And so what this is a bit different because this is an angled building with angled walls, but it would be easier. It would directly line up with my exterior elevations, so you can, with your flat walls and your square buildings, you can use your exterior elevation. Mine's going to be a little bit off, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to see exactly where my section line intersects with my wall, and this is going to come down like that. So just like our exterior elevations and just like our interior elevations, I'm going to pull down that information off my plan view. So this exterior wall is actually going to line up there. Does that make sense? So if I was doing a simple wall, then it would be a bit different. And here I'm going to draw down And I can grab from here. Oh, there's a few things. That's that wall. Now, this is actually a window, and this is where I can also get the information off my elevation. So what am I proposing is going through here. So this was my window height. This is like a window wall. So for instance, I could use my wall tool again and draw my black wall. And then actually I could put a window in if this was my window wall. So I'm gonna have to kind of play with my height with that as well. So I could go in. And I want this to have a solid fill. And I want it to have a white fill. So I could play with my height a bit with that. So, but in this case, it's actually gonna be the width. Does that make sense? So I'll do 6 feet. So I want it. So, and that's kind of why I like to use the wall tool to do my sections, because then I can do that kind of thing, right? So I can also take this up and I can click Option Drag. And I'll make this actually only 5 feet. And there was, like in my elevation, there is a beam going through there. So I can show it like that. So we want to understand, and this is where we are going to be showing our window heights, right? Also in elevation, as opposed to plan view. Like I said, I'm using the tools that I have available, so I don't have to redraw these windows. I'm just using my window tool. So, but to show height, then I'm changing the width because it's understanding this in plan view, right? Does that make sense? So then I like to use my wall tool for my floor system or structure as well. And if I want to, I can, instead of creating a new wall style, I can just change the thickness. So if this is a styled wall, I can convert it to an unstyled wall. And if, for instance, I wanted to do a 2x12 floor system, I could change this to 1 foot. And so with our design walls, or with our sections, this is just schematic design. So we're just kind of trying to understand how our idea is going to all flesh out. So I have a floor system, and then I also have that elevated floor, right? So I'm going to go in, and it's going to go on this wall, and where it snaps is right here. So, and it's actually, I'm just gonna take this and duplicate it, move it up. It's 22.5 inches. I'm gonna change this thickness though, because it doesn't need to be as thick, and I'll just leave it at 6 inches. But actually, we might want to use our reference line, so this move this up, because I changed that thickness. Now, what I also have in this design is a loft. So from here, I'm also going to move that up 7 feet. And then that loft is directly over. I'm going to click Option Drag. And so I can kind of see how those head heights are going to work out, if I'm going to have enough interior space, what I'm going to fit in underneath those. So I can now see that, for instance, that's only 4'9". So it's a good way of checking our work. and I actually want the bottom to be, so now this should be 7 feet. Perfect. And for our roof, again, I can either use a wall and rotate it. Say if I wanted to put skylights in and our section went through the skylights, that would be a good way of doing it. I can also use my double line polygon tool, and we haven't got to the point where we understand what the structure is going to be, right? When we get into our construction documents, we're going to look at our span tables and figure it out. So I kind of want to overbuild. So right now I'm going to assume this roof structure to be 1 foot. I'm going to do a 1 foot separation, and I want to create polygons and hit OK. Then I'm going to draw my roof and give it a black fill. Okay, so we're not going to get into the detail of what the components are of our roof systems, our floor systems, our wall assemblies. We just want to draw the shapes that represent those spaces. So where we cut through our wall, a window with a wall, we're going to show a window. Where our if we have interior walls, we're going to show those. So for instance, if I did have an interior wall, like I would see this wall behind, right? So I'm cutting through here. There's nothing in this layer that I'm going to see, but that I'm going to cut through, but I will see this behind. Does everybody understand how I'll see that? And I'm just going to show it as an edge. So any corners I'm going to see, I want to make sure I'm drawing them. I can get rid of this line. Oh, this is, I want to change that and put that on my section. Okay, so we cut through, the things that we cut through, we're going to be giving them fill and showing the thickness. And then we're going to look and see what we see behind that plane of view and make sure we show those in our drawings as well. Does that make sense? So we might see a window in the background. So we could take that front window from our elevation and bring it into our section. So we don't have to redraw it, we just might have to relocate it. Any questions?